Today, we're making the first official woman tier list. I haven't seen anybody else do this, and it's high time that we do it. Some people might call this misogynistic, but it's not whatsoever. In fact, I'm a big woman lover. I love them so much, in fact, that I'm going to be making a list of my favorite kinds of woman. Now, the first one we're going to be talking about are the emo, the goths. I would say these two have to belong in S tier. Now, here's the thing with this woman. I personally love the aesthetics. I really like these things. The problem is, it's not really the aesthetics. It's just, it doesn't scream wife material to me. That's the problem. Honestly, they might belong in A tier. But goth and emo, obviously the classics. Next one is the tomboy. Okay, this is a good one because they're actually fun. Like, you can actually do activities you enjoy with these women, and they have a sense of humor, and they work out, bruh. The only drawback is it's slightly gay. Let's be honest, it's slightly homo because you're essentially liking a woman who has a guy's personality. It's slightly gay in my opinion, but it's fine. You know, it's an acceptable amount of gayness to have. It's the amount of gayness that doesn't make you gay nor bi. But it's a little bit there, like, let's acknowledge it, it's real. It's slightly gay, but they still go in S tier. Next are the hair colors, bruh. I gotta say, I love ginger. Gotta say, ginger, blonde, those are my favorite. Brunette's mid, and black is just, it's basic. It's Asian. I want a white woman, so it's gotta go lower. So I think blonde is S tier, ginger is A tier, brunette's B tier, and here's the thought process. I love blondes. I also love gingers. In fact, I love gingers more than blondes. The problem is, though, you're gonna have kids. You gotta think ahead, my brothers. You're gonna have kids and you're making your son a ginger. That is a sad situation to be in. Imagine having a ginger son. Now, statistically speaking, if you marry a ginger and you're not a ginger yourself, it's unlikely that they're gonna have ginger hair themselves too. It's not as likely that they're gonna become a ginger, but that's a risk. You're risking having a ginger son. Imagine what that does to him. You're gonna make him a Bill Burr. We don't want that. But for women, it's perfectly fine. In fact, it's kind of like being an emo. Being an emo or being a goth, that's only acceptable if you're a woman. Same with being a ginger. A lot of people are going to be offended by that, but I'm just speaking the facts. This is my unfiltered opinion. The next one is the strong, independent woman, F tier, because here's the thing. No woman who's actually strong or independent is going to be calling themselves that. Any woman who self-identifies as a strong, independent woman is the exact same as a guy who calls himself an alpha male. If you're strong, if you're actually those things, you're never going to call yourself that, period. You're just going to be it. So essentially, strong, independent woman is code word for insecure, and you don't want a person who's very insecure. The next one we have is the breadwinner wife. Now, here's the interesting thing. Statistically speaking, they have higher divorce rates. That's bad. That's a no-no. You don't want a woman who's going to divorce you. The positive is, though, if they're a breadwinner, they're making more, so if you do end up divorcing, at least you'll get a bit of money. But we're not really fishing for divorces here. We want a nice, happy, healthy, stable marriage. So they gotta go down to, lower end B tier. Because, I mean, they're hard workers, they got their career going, they're making the money. You can just do whatever you want. All you gotta do is vacuum around the house. But let's be honest, the price is humiliation. You gotta be the beta, and you're gonna get divorced. So the lower end B tier, actually, I'm moving it to, upper C tier. Yeah. Next one is the work wife. Now this one's a bit different because it's just a wife that goes to work. Some people have their own situations that they're going through. Not everybody is making six figures, like, come on. The situation demands the wife's gotta work. And honestly, I respect that. The ideal situation is you're like rich and they don't have to work and they just take care of the kids, obviously. But life's not that pretty now, is it? Things are very tough right now. You're most likely gonna have a working wife with you. So we put this one, in my opinion, very hot take because I know I got a big traditional audience, I'm putting this in A tier. Because at the end of the day, you don't want simply a work wife or a stay-at-home wife or whatever. What you want is a woman who is adaptable to the situation you're in, right? You want somebody who's really gonna help out the marriage. A work wife is hella adaptable and a good worker at that. Next one is trophy wife. Okay, we're assuming in this situation you're like Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos if you're bald. I think a marriage, I think a wife, she's got to be contributing. A trophy wife is just like, she's just kept in a cabinet to look pretty. I don't really like that. Like, what are you actually adding to the marriage? What are you actually adding to the family? Come on. You gotta get out of the cabinet. You actually gotta like do something. You're gonna work. You're gonna clean the house. You're gonna take care of the kids. You're gonna cook. I mean, come on, add something to the family. Don't just stand there and look pretty. So they definitely belong in a C tier. The reason why they're not F is, well, they're pretty. Next one is stay-at-home mom. Obviously, we gotta go with the S tier. You're gonna raise a bunch of kids. You're really contributing to the family. You're fulfilling a very important role. S tier all the way. Now we got the feminist activist. I've met a lot of feminists, and I can say that some of them are pretty charming, but they just got family issues. They hate their dads. They hate men. How can you be with somebody who hates men? Now, not all feminists hate men, obviously not, but the vast majority do. Like, that's one of the main reasons why they are the way they are. And a lot of people are going to combat me with that, but it's true. But if she was a feminist and she didn't hate men, let's just give them the benefit of a doubt. C tier, because you can change people. You know, girlfriends, wives, they often change over time to adapt to their husband's beliefs, their boyfriend's beliefs. Maybe you can fix her. We'll give her C for potential. You don't know how many of these women would be willing to be a stay-at-home mom if they found the right guy. I'm serious, by the way. I'm not even joking with this. If they found somebody that really emotionally compelled them, they'll change. I've met these people. I know these people. When a woman really likes you, she's really willing to change herself for you. I'm serious. And the next one is, and it's just on the list, the hopeless romantic. Apparently, it's characterized by an obsession with love stories and dreamy, idealistic stuff about relationships. Being a romantic is fun, but like, let's be honest, a marriage is not always going to be incredibly romantic. That's something that disappears with time. You want a woman who's going to be much more mature, a woman who's not going to have these unrealistic expectations of what a relationship is or what a marriage looks like. You're not always going to be in that honeymoon state. I'm thinking about putting it above the Breadwinner, so it's probably like either upper C tier, lower B tier. We'll go lower B tier. Next is the clingy girlfriend. Oh man, so many guys would kill for this type of woman. I'm serious. So many guys don't understand what it's like to be with this type of woman. Clingy women, especially if you're a guy who's got work, you got things to do, you have hobbies and a life outside of work, they're gonna take up all of your time, bruh. I'm serious. You don't know until you know. You need a girl that knows, hey, you got work to do, bruh. And when he's not talking to you, she knows that you still love her, you still care about her. F tier, I'm serious about that, by the way. You can't be clingy. You gotta leave people alone sometimes. That ship has sailed, amigo. You gotta go. Next one is the art girl. A tier. I love art girls. I love people who are into art. I love art itself. This can be either music, this can be, visual art, this can even be cosplay or whatever the hell. I love art girls. There's a slight drawback though, because a lot of them are just gay, I mean, statistically speaking, artists are more likely to be gay. And there are connections between creativity and mental illness. So it's like, when you're with an artist, it's a bit more chaotic. You don't know what's gonna happen. You don't know what you're really dealing with. It's a little bit of a risk. But hey, there are a lot of women who are into art. They're perfectly healthy. Just gotta find that one. Next one is the lesbian. Now, when it comes to lesbian, there are two types of lesbian, the very masculine type of lesbian and the very feminine type of lesbian. Now, from what I can see, we know the statistics, let's just be honest. All I can say is domestic abuse. It's a real thing with these people. For the masculine lesbian, I'm gonna put them at F tier. My reason is, it's not okay to hit women, even if you're a woman. As for the feminine lesbian, it's very interesting actually. There are a lot of lesbians out there. They say they're gay, they are gay, flat out they are, but over time that changes. If they find the right guy, I genuinely believe they're not going to be gay. And this isn't something I'm making up. It's statistically observed. It's real. People know about this. The sexuality between men and women, it's different. Women are much more likely to self-identify as lesbian at a younger age, but then as time goes on, they're less likely to identify as lesbian. They're more likely to identify as bi. They're more likely to just become straight and marry a man. And there's a whole lot of stuff connected to this. And there's the added bonus. Let's say they were with people. They have a body count. They say, I have to open up to you. I have a body count. And before you, I was with 3 other women. You're not really gonna care. I mean, they're women. We as guys, we're jealous. And we're jealous of other men being with our woman. But if a woman's with another woman, it's like, it doesn't really register, does it? I mean, let's just be honest. If you could get the feminine, beautiful lesbian, and she became straight because of you, but she was with other people before you, it's not as bad as if they were dudes, I'm just saying. So in my opinion, the feminine lesbian, they gotta go in B tier. Quickie interruption, be sure to subscribe if you're enjoying this video. I make tons of different videos like this all the time. Not tier list, but I try and make thought-provoking ones that are interesting. Anyways, let's continue. Next one is the e-girl. I actually like the look. It's It's very simple. I'm a simple guy. I like the makeup. I like the way they dress. It's nice. Next one is the pick-me. Now, I personally had this conception of pick-me's. I used to say that pick-me's were just called that by other women who are jealous of them. They're getting the attention of the guys, so they're just jealous of them. They call them the pick-me's, you know, because a lot of women, they do that. They'll find a woman who's more traditional, a woman who caters to the interests of other men, and they call them a pick-me. There's a distinction between that, which is perfectly healthy and fine and something women should do, and an actual pick-me, which is, they're really annoying. Like, you'll know when you run into a pick-me. They want tons of attention. They're never full with the amount of attention they get. It's like a real thing. I used to be a pick-me defender. I've been enlightened. I know what these people are like. No to pick-me's. Pick-me is F tier, the city girl. I have bad experiences with city girls. I don't like the city. I'm not gonna live in the city. C tier, because if she's a good woman, she can join me in the suburbs. She doesn't need to be in the city. She's got me. You don't need to go to the nightclubs. Like, what's in the city? Nothing. Next one is the homeschooled girl. S tier. These women, if you talk to them, they're incredibly sweet. Very sweet people. And you know what I said before about like beautiful women being crazy? That rule doesn't apply to these women. If you're homeschooled, if you had a good upbringing, it doesn't matter how beautiful you are. You're not really gonna be as crazy. I've met women at church who are homeschooled, and golly, they're so incredibly sweet. Now the stalker girlfriend. Here's the thing. This is a little controversial, and I will go to my grave saying this. All women have stalked someone. All of the women I've talked to have stalked a guy, especially the guy they like. Now, it could be that I'm rationalizing away my own experiences with these people, but the behavior itself, it's kind of unhinged. And if you're a guy doing it, like, I don't know how you could be a guy and do it in good conscience. I think women are just like immune to feeling bad about stalking people because they just tell themselves, I can't do anything to them because I'm a girl. A guy, if like he started doing it, he's like, I'm a freak. What's wrong with me? A girl, she can do it guilt-free because she knows not only is she not going to do anything to them, but they believe they can't do anything to them. Statistically speaking, they say that men are more likely to stalk. I don't believe that. All of the women I've asked, they say yes, they've stalked. It's in fact rare of me to find a woman who hasn't stalked a guy. So it's like, it's unhinged, it's creepy, but it's standard, honestly. So it's like B tier, mid B tier, yeah. Next one is Catgirl, and we're talking about cat ears, S tier. It's not furry. I refuse to explain. Next one, the sweater oversized hoodie girl. Now, I'm gonna be honest, I asked ChatGPT to create a whole list of the different types of women out there, and it gave me this one, and I thought, you know, I actually like it when women wear baggy stuff. It's like, it's not the only style I like, but I like it. I think it looks kind of good. Sometimes it can be even used to dress appropriately, but still be kind of like stylish, you know? I like it. You know, we need to bring that back. Bring back the giant sweater girl. Next one is the fat girlfriend. Okay, let's just be honest here. We want a wife that is not only attractive, but one that will live a long time. One that can actually take care of the kids. One that's not going to just die of cardiac arrest. Those are negatives. They're not healthy. They're not as attractive, but they're great at cooking. They're always good at cooking. All of them. I haven't met a single woman who is fat and didn't know how to cook. So that's a positive. That's something guys are looking for in women, right? That's what they say, at least. And you can lose the weight. So right now, I'm going to say C tier, but they have potential. If you're this category of woman, you got potential. You can become an A tier. Just gotta hit the gym a little bit. You can really change the tier list here. It's all within your control. Trust me, I'm being serious, by the way. Next one is the psycho obsessive girlfriend. Okay, it's funny in memes and all that stuff. We all think it's really funny, the yandere and all the rest. Haha, hee hee. Unless you've actually met these people, you won't understand, and I can just say it is F tier. And you don't want it. It's very bad. Trust me. Next one is the autistic girl. I'm gonna put this one at B tier because here's the thing. I actually find autistic women to be fun. So it depends on the type of context here. If we're talking about a functioning autist, someone that doesn't really seem autistic, they're just a bit more blunt, they're more clear with what they mean. I like that. That's fun because you're much easier to read. You're just much more direct. I like that. You make my job easier. I don't have to bring out a manual to understand you. I don't have to ask another woman, hey, what's going on here? Why is she doing this? Why is she saying these things? What does she want of me? Because I know if you're autistic, you're just going to tell me. It's simple. It's nice. A tier for a functioning autist. The problem is, though, it operates on a spectrum. There's some women who are like autistic, and when you talk to them, it's like there's a brick wall of emotion. You can never really connect to them. You never really feel anything with them. So with those, it feels horrible. You don't want that. So if you go for an autistic girl, go for an autistic functioning one. One that can actually build a relationship, one that can actually work well in a relationship. They exist, trust me, I've seen them. They operate in both the A tier and F tier. The next one is Gold Digger, bottom C tier. The only reason why they're the bottom C tier and not the F tier is because they're pretty. The problem is they leave with your money. They don't care about you. Next one is, okay, this is where I'm gonna offend a lot of people. Unironically, I'm not even joking. The horse girl. I don't like them. I'm not a country guy. I'm not really a giant outdoorsy guy. And these women, I don't know. I just don't vibe with them. They always like country music. I hate country music. They're cute. They're blondes, you know. They got cowboy hats. They dress well. They're usually very pretty. I never get along with them. I just can't connect with them. So I'm gonna have to put her in like upper C tier, you know, more than the fat girl. They're better than the fat girl. The next one is the nerdy girl. I really have to think about this one, actually. We're gonna have to put her right between the fat girl and the horse girl. I don't know, they don't really take care of how they look. You gotta take care of how you look. I take care of how I look, so it's important to me, and I put in that effort, expecting that you're gonna put in the effort too. But like, hey, at least they think before they speak. That's the thing. That's something I really like in a woman. It sounds natural, but it sounds very calculated and smart. Next one is the conspiracy theorist chick. These are really fun. They're crazy, but it's like they're crazy in a non-destructive way. You know how we talk about the crazy women? They slash your tires. This one is like, she's schizo. She thinks for herself. She's not always right. She might not even always be the smartest, but she's a non-conformist. She doesn't like the government. She knows about the feds. That's cool. I knew a girl once, and she was like, I want to marry a guy and move to the mountains to prepare for when the government falls. Like, they exist. That's really cool. That's really fun. A tier. The nature lover. I respect this one. I'm not a nature person, but from what I've seen, I've met a couple like that. They tend to be very smart. They're not really interested in the same things as me. So if they were to talk about like different topics, they might sound stupid, but they're not stupid. They simply only focus and care about nature. That's the thing they're obsessed with. And if you talk to them about it, it's like they're incredibly deep when it comes to these things. They actually know about them a lot. When you find a person and you figure out what they're interested in and you talk to them about it, you find a very fascinating and interesting person. Now, I don't really care about like all the outdoorsy stuff, the nature, but I find them interesting. Bottom A tier. The next one is the traditionalist. I like them. You know, hopefully they're not too strict, but I like them. You know, they really do a good job. You want a woman who's gonna like save herself for you. It's very nice. I'm much more of a traditional guy. Of course, I'm gonna want a traditional girl. Obviously, S tier. Imagine that. That's a rare thing to find these days. The next one is the religious woman. Bottom C tier. Golly. Here's the thing. The religious woman is different from the traditional woman. I'm saying the traditional woman can very much be a Christian, but the very religious woman, they're very strict. Like, I'm talking about a pastor's daughter. Everybody talks about a pastor's son. The pastor's daughter. If you talk to these women, you see how they date, how they do things. It's like they weren't raised right. There's something wrong with it. Don't go after the pastor's daughter. They're just as bad as the pastor's son. Or at least from my experience. They're more controlling. And look, I'm not against a woman who values God or has Christian values that she's going to put above all else. That's great. That's beautiful. But when we're talking about just a very controlling person, that's a big red flag. Bottom C tier. You gotta change that person. You can keep them Christian. I'm a Christian. But you can't have a very controlling person. That's really bad. That makes life hell. The next one is Femcel. I mean, they'll probably put time and effort into a relationship. I mean, they're desperate, right? But there's a reason why they're alone, though. Like, who knows? Like, you could get a femcel, a person who's, like, kind of desperate and they need somebody. They might be interesting, but something tells me there's a reason why they're alone. So I'm gonna give the femcel bottom C tier. Next one is the party girl. Bottom B tier. You know, they're pretty fun, they're pretty enjoyable, but they're so hedonistic and they always want to drag you out. They always like, what are we doing? What are you gonna do? Like, you can't just enjoy your time. You gotta always be going out with them. You always gotta be doing stuff with them. And look, you could be that type of person, but I'm not that type of person. I'm perfectly fine with just going out to eat, be with my friends, have a good time. I genuinely enjoy that. You don't have to be hyperactive and do all of these different activities. So bottom B tier. The next one is the girl boss. Not really fun, very competitive, you know, just basically it's the same as the strong independent woman, except this time it's like she's bossy. She wants to control you, like she wants to be a man. F tier. Now for the best of the best, the top S tier. My type. That's what it's called, my type, which is, it's not even someone who's very pretty. Like, we're assuming they're pretty. We're assuming I'm physically attracted to them. But an essential quality I think is really needed, and something I will always be searching for, is a person who can take responsibility for what they say, what they do, and really reflect on their actions and say, hey, I messed up, and I'm going to change. Because guess what? If you're gonna go after a young woman, let's say 20 years old, 21, 22, they're young, very young person. Do you honestly expect to find a fully developed person who has great character, who does all of these different things right that you want in a person? Do you honestly expect to find that in both a person who's pretty and young and expect to be the guy who gets her? It's very unlikely. But there are tons of people who are constantly growing, constantly maturing. I think one of the things you can do is look for a person who isn't fully complete. Yeah, they have flaws, and you're going to have to accept those flaws, but also find a person who can change them and grow with time. You know, maybe not right now they have these issues, but later they could grow with you and you can both grow together. Like right now, you're not a complete developed person. I'm sure you're going to hope that you're much more developed and much more mature in a few years from now. So it's only reasonable to look for that in another woman, in a person who's not quite there yet, but most definitely is growing, most definitely is maturing. I think that's much more realistic in terms of what you can find, because if you want a young woman who has great character and is very mature, it's going to be extremely hard. But you can find people who are growing, who do change, who are mature for only being 22 years old. I think that's one of the best qualities, the best type of woman you can find out there. Anyways, that's it for this video. If you have any other tier list ideas or any other recommendations, please let me know in the comments below. I hope you enjoyed this one. The reason why I made this video is because tier lists have been taking off. They've been doing really well. And I thought, is there a tier list I could make? Is there anything people find interesting on this channel? And it turns out they find one group very interesting, the woman group. Like, look at my two last videos. They blew up, they did really well, and they're talking about women. So I thought, hey, why not make this video? Why not make a tier list about woman? But if you enjoyed this video, please be sure to check out some of my other videos. I think you'll enjoy them. Anyways, have a good one.